The San Francisco 49ers got an important win against a tenacious Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that fought valiantly to the very last second. Nevertheless, the 49ers came away with the victory thanks to an outstanding offensive performance, a defensive performance that held up in the heat and humidity, and a special teams performance that nearly cost San Francisco the game, if not for the heroic efforts of Brock Purdy. Welcome to Josh's Football Breakdowns, where we don't tell you what you're seeing, we let the film tell us what we're seeing. And what we saw on Sunday was one of Brock Purdy's best games as a pro. In fact, there's a lot of great plays from this game I want to show you, so this entire video will be presented to you ad-free after this short commercial break. Welcome back. After both teams traded punts, the 49ers would remind everybody just how deadly they can be with a quick strike offense early in this game. Tampa Bay only rushes with 4 here, with Jordan Whitehead covering Jordan Mason. J.J. Russell seems to be keeping an eye on Kyle Juszczyk while carrying Ricky Pearsall downfield. And if Pearsall were to go to the corner here, Tampa Bay would be in excellent position. In fact, you can see that both Russell and the safety are turned to the outside, leaving them vulnerable to the in route by Ricky Pearsall. But what about Levante David? Well, when Eric Schaubert also goes in that direction, David goes with him. The 49ers have called the double in, and it seems to be the perfect play call against this defense, and Brock Purdy spots Ricky Pearsall. And Pearsall high steps Winfield, foot race down the sideline, reaches across, and you can see his foot does go out of bounds, but not before that ball crosses the plane of the goal. Touchdown 49ers, they take the early lead. Now I mentioned that Tampa Bay only rushed with 4, but how they did it is really interesting here because the Bucs tried to overwhelm the 49er offensive line all day long. And the way they did it here was they took their 3 down linemen and had all of them move to their right at the snap of the football. And this puts Dominic Putnam in a really interesting situation. If he comes over to help against Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, well, that leaves Jake Brendel one-on-one on an island, and something that the Bucs could exploit at any time with the linebacker blitz. If Putnam instead helps Jake Brendel, which is what actually happened on the play, Colton McKivitz is one-on-one against Tryon-Shoyinka. They've essentially tried to isolate the right side of the 49er offensive line. So how did the 49ers handle it? Well, Eric Schaubert chips Tryon-Shoyinka before heading downfield on his pass route. In fact, when we watch the play, you're going to see he doesn't even really make forcible contact with Tryon-Shoyinka. He just kind of runs through him, but it's enough to buy Colton McKivitz a little bit of extra time. But the real impressive part of this play is after Dominic Putnam has made Logan Hall a non-factor, he comes back over to help Colton McKivitz. It's amazing how one player, Dominic Putnam, has made that entire offensive line better. And it helps to allow for these explosive plays. So the 49ers take the early lead, 7-0. Naturally, Tampa Bay would like to respond. At the snap, they put a man in motion and the 49er defense shifts, telling the Bucs that San Francisco is probably in a zone. And just watch how smoothly the 49er zone defenders sort out who's who here. And with no quick throw available to Baker Mayfield, we see that it's the right side of the Tampa Bay offensive line that breaks down and ultimately gets home to Baker. And from this angle, we get a great look at Malik Collins, who just puts a little double move on the right guard. So Tampa has to punt back to San Francisco, but here the 49ers are facing a 3rd down and 6. Wanting to get a big stop on third down, Tampa Bay continues to apply pressure with their defensive line, this time rushing with 5. And we can see Yaya Diaby is coming unblocked off the edge. And this is the third year in a row that the 49ers have played against Tampa Bay, and the third year in a row on this channel we've taken a look at the film and Todd Bowles' defense. And what we've tended to see every year is Bowles getting really creative with his big guys, and here they've dropped Anthony Nelson in the pass coverage. And George Kittle finds a little window behind him. Nelson is understandably occupied with Christian McCaffrey. Kittle just gets behind him, but in front of the safety. But with Yaya coming unblocked, Brock has to hurry himself. He throws high, Kittle tips it to himself and makes the catch. Wow. And again, it's just a very creative pass rush for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've seen it year after year after year. In fact, let me show you guys a play from a couple of years ago, Brock Purdy's first ever NFL start. Here you can see Tampa Bay has their linebackers, Lavonte David and Devin White, lined up at the line of scrimmage, while their defensive tackles, Logan Hall, just a rookie back then, and Akeem Hicks, are lined up in the linebacker position. And here's the idea behind this. Those guys are going to come on the blitz. The whole idea is you force the offensive line of the 49ers to block the linebackers, right? Devin White and Lavonte David. If the 49ers leave someone in to help with pass protection, which they do with George Kittle, he now has to block a defensive tackle instead. A much tougher task, and this is successful. Tampa Bay is able to get through, but not before Brock Purdy burns them. These are the kinds of creative, brilliant ideas that make the Todd Bowles defense so difficult to play against. So let's come back to the present now and take a look at how Tampa Bay approached this play. Nelson starts out looking like he's going to rush the passer, but as we know, he drops back. And their other two big guys on the D-line, again, move to the right at the snap, with Yaya Diaby going the other way around. Tryon Shoyinka drops back, and Lavonte David this time comes on the blitz, along with Antoine Winfield. So what does all this mean? Well, if we look closely, we can see that they have very cleverly overloaded that side of the 49er offensive line. They've put 4 pass rushers in an area with only 3 offensive blockers. As a result, Yaya comes unblocked. But again, the 49ers have a quarterback that can handle these kinds of situations, and having George Kittle on your team doesn't hurt as well. Alright, we're in the second quarter now, so the teams have switched sides, but this is still the same drive, and the 49ers are facing a 2nd down and 3. Ordinarily a down you might run the football on. In fact, we can see that the 49ers have lined up with 2 tight ends and a running back. And as creative as Todd Bowles is on defense, we know that Kyle Shanahan is equally creative on offense. And very typically of the 49ers here, that's actually Kyle Juszczyk lined up at one of the tight end positions and Deebo Samuel lined up in the running back position. Either way, Tampa decides to rush with 5. And again, perhaps expecting a running play, we see Zion McCollum lined up in press coverage against Juwan Jennings. And if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know that when you're lined up in the press, there's the chance that you could get beat, that the wide receiver could get around you right at the line of scrimmage. In fact, if you want to play wide receiver in the NFL, you have to be able to beat press coverage. And since Tampa Bay sent a blitz, there's only one safety back deep. He's unable to help on the play. Realizing he's been beaten, Zion grabs and holds onto Juwan Jennings while the football is in the air. That's pass interference and an automatic first down at the spot of the foul for the 49ers. As the drive continues, the 49ers would face another 3rd down, this time a 3rd down and 3. And for this, both teams again reach deep into their playbook. On offense, we see something that the Tampa Bay defense wants to point out, something you don't see every day: Christian McCaffrey lined up in the slot. Always a threat to pick up the first down. As instructed, KJ Britt runs over to cover him, allowing Christian Azian to blitz. Tampa has cleverly moved their defense around to cover Christian McCaffrey and send a blitzer to Brock Purdy, but this has the effect of leaving Juwan Jennings uncovered. And Brock Purdy spots the mistake. And when we take another look from this angle, we realize that Tampa's creativity, strangely, was successful again in terms of their pass rush by sending 4 pass rushers to the left side and the extra blitzer to the right side. They've put Colton McKivitz in the awkward position of having to block 2 pass rushers. Now, once again, Dominic Puni helps to save this play. Unfortunately for Tampa, Brock Purdy is looking at Juwan Jennings the whole way, but Puni at the last second also slides over, giving Brock just that extra split second to get rid of this football. And Dominic Puni has been so good. It's a shame that offensive linemen aren't really recognized in the way that they should be in the NFL. You know, all the talk of Rookie of the Year is going to Jaden Daniels, and rightfully so. But if this were any other year, I would probably be pounding the table for Dominic Puni. The drive would end in a Jake Moody field goal attempt, and he nailed it. With the 49ers now leading 10-0, we're going to move ahead a little in the second quarter, and let's talk about the game situation, because we've just hit the 2-minute warning, and Tampa is facing a 3rd down and 5. The tackle is made short of the line to gain inbounds, so the 49ers should call timeout so they have time to get points before the end of the half, but they don't, so the clock runs. Tampa Bay kicks a field goal, getting on the board 10-3, but the important thing here is now there's only 1:08 left. This was yet another clock management mistake by Kyle Shanahan. We've been saying probably for at least 5 years now, he needs to have an assistant manage the clock for him. But 1:08 isn't nothing. It's enough time to get a field goal if nothing else, and the 49ers have all of their timeouts. So let's take a look at their approach. This time Zion is rather sensibly, I think, playing off of Juwan Jennings. Jennings knows that the 49ers have those timeouts, so he just takes the free yardage here. And then appears to go out of bounds, cuts back inside, makes 2-man miss, and then gets extra yardage on the play. 30-yard chunk for Juwan Jennings. But again, the clock is running, and the 49ers do not call a timeout. They hurry up to the line and call a play, but they seem a little unsettled, and Brock Purdy just ends up dirting this football. The play to Jennings was great, but I thought that the 49ers kind of mishandled this end-of-half situation a little bit. Nevertheless, they are able to get into Jake Moody's range, and this time the kick is just barely no good. And yeah, we'll get into that more. Let's move ahead to the third quarter. Tampa would get the ball to start the second half, but here they're facing a 3rd down and 4, and their offense really hasn't gotten a lot going all day. They really need to pick this up. So here they run a pick play, and they're sort of pushing the limits of what's allowed here, but this play is there. It's available for them for the 1st down. But Baker Mayfield, I thought he played pretty good in this game. Here he reads the wrong side of the field. And by the time he comes over to the other side, now he doesn't like this throw so much. He scrambles and then has to try to force something late in the play, and the 49ers have held on 3rd down. Now we can see Jacob Cowing calling for the fair catch, which means the coverage man isn't allowed to contact him or even interfere with the ability for him to make the fair catch, but what he is allowed to do is block a player into him, and it's Darrell Luter. And Luter has to be more aware than this. This is the second time this has happened, because remember, this happened in the Super Bowl when the ball hit him and led to Kansas City's first touchdown, and darned if it doesn't lead to Tampa Bay's first touchdown in this game. Special teams rears their ugly head again. Tampa Bay exploits this beautifully, sending the tight end out, moving Devondre Campbell, and then at the snap, Rachaad White goes out, moving Fred Warner. And then we see the defensive linemen for the 49ers get through, and we quickly realize Tampa is setting up the middle screen to Rachaad White. And to his credit, Fred Warner still almost blows up the play. But White skies for the catch, puts a move on Warner, and then gets into the end zone. Very impressive, and Tampa Bay, just like that, has tied this game at 10 apiece. And you know, it's funny. The first half wasn't necessarily a spectacular showing for the 49ers in terms of the scoreboard, but it really felt like they were in control of this game until the miscues right before the end of the half, and then the punt kind of really broke it open for Tampa Bay. But in the second half, the 49er offense really got going. Here, all the offensive linemen move to their right, and we see the defense react. They have no choice. They cannot allow Christian McCaffrey to get to the edge. But at the last second, we see George Kittle and Trent Williams turn around, giving Christian McCaffrey the cutback lane. Later on in the drive, the 49ers would face a key third down. Tampa once again tries to overwhelm the 49er offensive line, this time sending a 6-man pass rush, and again lining up in press coverage, Josh Hayes against Deebo Samuel. And Deebo is able to get by him. It's tight coverage, but Brock sticks it right in there. First down. Again, Tampa drops Anthony Nelson, and again the deception is successful, leaving Trent Williams with no one to block and Yaya completely unblocked on the other side. But Brock Purdy is just too good. And the drive would lead to another Jake Moody field goal attempt. And this one is also good. It's funny, he made more of these than I seem to remember. So the 49ers take the lead, 13-10, as we move into the fourth quarter. But Tampa would score on a beautifully crafted touchdown run. You may have noticed right before the snap, Baker puts a man in motion, and this moves the defense, and we would see great blocks from the tight end and from the center. So the Bucs take the lead, 17-13. Now, as I mentioned, these teams have played each other 3 years in a row now, and I already showed you a play from 2 years ago, so let's take a look at a play from last year. We know that one of the 49ers' bread and butter plays is to fake the run to one side and send the tight end out to the other side. Well, last year against Tampa, they did something similar, but they sent George Kittle behind the line of scrimmage instead. And the play was a success. So what would we see this year? It would turn out to be more of the same. Now I'm sure Todd Bowles couldn't have been happy to see that, but let's take a look from the other angle. And just put yourself in the shoes of a defender here. The 49ers have put a fullback in motion to one side. They have a tight end to that side as well and appear to be heading in that direction with Christian McCaffrey. It is so hard not to try to defend that play. We talked earlier about how important it is not to let Christian McCaffrey get to the edge. And these are the kinds of things that makes the 49er offense so hard to defend. San Francisco just marched up and down the field and had numerous scoring opportunities in this game, and here they have another Jake Moody field goal attempt ready to go. And the kick is up, and this one is no good. So the score remains 17-13. But the 49ers would get the ball back, and they've set Christian McCaffrey up here with the double move. And Brock Purdy knows that he's going to have McCaffrey on this play. But this time the pass rush for Tampa is finally going to get home to Brock Purdy. But Purdy sees that the defender is completely flat-footed here. He knows he has this throw. So he decides to throw it early. And this is one of the most incredible passes you're going to see. Falling backwards, arcs it up, and McCaffrey is wide open. A beautiful throw makes a man miss. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable play. How many times have we seen this? How many times have we seen Brock Purdy just throwing absolute dimes like this? The San Francisco 49ers would not be denied. After the game, George Kittle said his role on this play was just to go deep and draw the attention of the defense so that Christian McCaffrey could come open underneath and score a touchdown. But the defense sits up on McCaffrey, so Brock Purdy reads the other side of the field. Doesn't like what he sees. He turns his attention back to McCaffrey. He's still not open, so Purdy buys time in the pocket. Eventually, he's forced to scramble. But he keeps his eyes downfield, and at the last second, he sees Kittle has a step on the defender and throws another beautiful pass into the end zone. Touchdown 49ers. Brock is on fire. Catch 2 feet down, touchdown, a great play by George Kittle, who's having a tremendous season, on pace for well over 1,000 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns on the year if he continues the way he's going. 7 so far, not a bad number. So San Francisco goes up 20-17, and we're getting down to about 6 minutes to go now in the fourth quarter. Tampa needs to keep pace here, but they're facing a 3rd down and 13, needing to get all the way to the 40-yard line for a first down. That's where San Francisco sets up their defense, and nobody is open, and the pass rush gets home to Baker Mayfield. And to be fair to Tampa Bay here, Tristan Wirfs, their multiple Pro Bowler, multiple All-Pro left tackle, had to leave the game due to injury, so it's our old friend Justin Skule in at left tackle. And Nick Bosa just gives him a little okie doke here and gets home to Baker Mayfield. So the 49ers have the lead and possession and are keen to run the ball here to take some time off the clock. And they line up with 2 tight ends on the play. Tampa Bay rushes with 5. But hold up. What are they doing sending Christian McCaffrey out on motion like this? And let's even go a level deeper here, because if you watched my live stream with Johnny Dell's Football Academy on Friday, you'll know we talked about the fact that other analysts on YouTube sometimes question why the 49ers do this motion 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage like this. So let's get into it. Well, as long as Christian McCaffrey is not moving towards the line of scrimmage, it is legal for the 49ers to snap the ball at any time, even if he's in motion. So the most Tampa can do here is motion a man out to match up with him. If Christian were to move up to the line of scrimmage, yes, he would be 5 yards closer to a potential reception, but in that instance, he has to get set first before we can snap the ball. So we not only have to wait longer, but Tampa knows exactly when we can and can't snap the ball, and they could adjust their defensive call to account for the change in formation. Why is that important? Well, look at Deebo Samuel here, still in the backfield. When McCaffrey motions out, Tampa has only 2 choices here to send either a rookie or a linebacker after him. They choose to send the linebacker on Christian McCaffrey and put the rookie on Deebo Samuel. It's a tough choice, but with no other time to change their defensive call, it's the only choice they have, and Deebo is matched up one-on-one against a rookie. And despite a dirty pocket, Brock Purdy sees the matchup and gets Deebo Samuel the football. Brock with the Frankie Albert jump pass. Thunderbird can't make the tackle, and Debo was off to the races, and it's a 32-yard gain at a critical point in the game. I know the formation is unusual, the way the 49ers do that, but there's nuance to it. There's a reason they do it, and you just saw an example of it here. Now, I stopped it here because with just over 3 minutes to go, the 49ers are lined up for a field goal which would put them up by 6, meaning Tampa would have to score a touchdown in the final minutes in order to win the game, really putting the Bucs in a tough position. So let's look at the spot of the ball. It's going to be at the 34-yard line here. The end zone is 10 yards deep, so it's a 44-yard field goal on the right hash. And we can see the wind is blowing to the right. Watch the wind push this ball. And the kick is no good. A big miss that sets Tampa Bay up with excellent field position, and now they only need 3 to tie it up. Now I can already feel people running to the comments. No, I am not making excuses for Jake Moody. And we all know what happened with Debo Samuel and Tabor Pepper during the game. Now, here's my thoughts on that since you're here watching. You know, it's perfectly acceptable for Debo as a leader on the team to say to Jake Moody, you know, hey, you make that kick. In the locker room, in private, after the game, during the week or whatever. Definitely not during the game when Moody's still trying to get his mind right for the next kick, and certainly cannot get physical with your own teammates. All right, we're going to come back to that Jake Moody field goal because, yes, we have more to say about it. But for now, Tampa is looking to put together a drive to potentially tie or even win this game. The 49ers are not going to make this easy on Tampa Bay, though. We can see Devondre Campbell fake the blitz and then drop back. Now, of course, the right guard doesn't know this, and Leonard Floyd does come on the pass rush. And the right guard, Cody Mosh, hilariously tries to get back in position to block Leonard Floyd, and Nick Bosa exploits this. And Bosa gets a firm grasp of Mayfield's left arm. Now, there's a key factor here, which is that Mayfield is now outside of the pocket, so it is no longer legal for Bosa to reach up and pull him down by the collar. It would be a horse collar tackle, and it's 4th down. The worst thing Bosa can do here is commit some kind of penalty that's going to give Tampa an automatic 1st down and keep this drive going. But fear not. Nick Bosa, with a firm grasp of the arm of any quarterback, is enough to pull him down to the ground. But Baker Mayfield is not any quarterback. Mayfield fights, and then gets a pass off, and it's complete for a 1st down, and the Bucs are alive. Oh my goodness, an incredible play that Tom Brady himself said was one of the best plays he's ever seen a quarterback make. All right, 48 seconds left, 3rd and goal, and this time the pass protection for Tampa is excellent, but so is the coverage on the back end for the 49ers. So, what are Baker's options here? Well, he could get a pass to the running back, but that far out from the end zone, I would sure hope that Devondre Campbell could make this tackle. We can also see Rockison getting physical with Raheem Jarrett at the top of his route. And Baker throws in this direction. Sometimes when you throw the football towards a physical play like that, the officials can be induced to throw the flag, but this time they don't. The play stands as an incomplete pass, so Tampa is forced to settle for the field goal. And the kick is good. Tampa Bay has tied the game with just 41 seconds left. But 41 seconds is an eternity for Brock Purdy. So how does Tampa Bay approach this defensively? Well, they want to continue to put pressure on that offensive line. They send a 5-man blitz. But San Francisco was prepared for this, and they leave Christian McCaffrey in to help with pass protection. Furthermore, since Tampa sent a blitz, they only have 1 safety back deep. They cannot give up a long touchdown pass to Juwan Jennings, for example, or they will lose the game. So his man gives him a lot of space, and Juwan Jennings takes the space the defense left behind. It was an easy 6 yards, but they used up some of their time, so now there's only 36 seconds left. The Buccaneers also know that the 49ers only have 1 timeout left, so here they double down, sending a 6-man blitz. The 49ers, though, stick with the same recipe for success. They leave a man in to help with pass protection, they know Tampa only has 1 safety back deep, and they know that the defender has to give Ricky Pearsall a lot of space so they don't get burned for a long touchdown and thus lose the game. And Ricky Pearsall, again, takes the space the defense left behind. And importantly, he gets out of bounds to stop the clock, so they get another 6 yards. They've gained 12 yards, and they still have 31 seconds left, and they still have their timeout left. So Tampa again ups the ante. They stick with the 6-man pass rush, but this time they line up in press coverage, and there's a risk that Deebo Samuel could go around for a long route, for instance, and Brock Purdy takes a long look at this. Ultimately, he decides the one-on-one shot isn't there, so he resets his feet and looks to another long route, this one to Juwan Jennings. But here Tampa is in good position to defend this route, so Brock Purdy resets again and comes over to Christian McCaffrey. Now, if McCaffrey were to get stopped in bounds, the 49ers would have to use their last timeout, and that's okay, but only if you gain yardage. You cannot lose yardage in this situation, and we can see that he is still behind the line of scrimmage. So Brock Purdy resets his feet one more time and looks for Ricky Pearsall. And Brock sees the defender is facing towards the sideline, and he knows that Pearsall's route calls for him to go to the inside. He's got him. And think about what you just saw here. Brock Purdy made 4 reads all the way from one side of the field to the other, a full field read in a critical situation with just seconds left on the clock. And then he throws a strike. Now he is stopped in bounds, so the 49ers use their last timeout with just 23 seconds left. From here it would be a 56-yard field goal. The 49ers are flirting right on the edge of field goal range, so Tampa Bay ups the ante one last time, tripling down with the 7-man blitz, leaving 0 safeties back deep, the very definition of the zero blitz. Again, this forces the Tampa defenders to give the receivers a lot of space, and again, Juwan Jennings takes the space the defense left behind. The most natural move here is for Jennings to head out of bounds and stop the clock. The defender heads over in that direction to force him to the boundary, and Juwan takes that opportunity to gain extra yardage. He knows how much time is on the clock. He's a true professional. He makes a man miss, gains extra yardage, and we're going to see it's a good thing that he does. Now the clock runs because he's stopped in bounds. Don't panic. Brock has to spike the ball to stop the clock, but he has to make sure the 49ers are in a legal formation or it will be a 10-second runoff and they'll lose. But he stays calm, spikes the football, and the 49ers are going to have one last chance to win the game with 3 seconds left. Brilliant execution by Brock Purdy, clearly one of his best games as a pro, and look where this football is spotted, on the 34-yard line again, on the right hash again, and we see that same action of the wind. And Jake Moody said getting the chance to do this twice from the same spot on the field was invaluable. This time he is prepared, and watch as he kicks this football slightly to the left. The wind blows it, but this time it stays within the uprights. And the kick is good. The 49ers win the game as time expires. 23-20 is your final score. Oh my goodness, what an incredible game. And overall, the 49ers played pretty well offensively in that game. They could have scored well over 30 points, and they could have held the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to fewer points had a few things gone differently on special teams, including the field goals and the muffed punt. Now, talking about Jake Moody, it was windy, and it's his first game back from injury. I understand there's a lot of fan anger directed at him right now for almost costing us the game, a game that the 49ers need to win as they are in a desperate fight with the Arizona Cardinals for first place in the NFC West. Now, I made you guys a promise on this channel that I would always be honest with you, so I'm in a little bit of a difficult position here of having to try to straddle. Yes, Jake Moody should have made those kicks, and I understand what a serious and legitimate concern it is that the team seems to be flirting so close to disaster with some of these field goal attempts. At the same time, no, I do not encourage the 49ers to make a knee-jerk reaction and cut Jake Moody or anything along those lines. We need more data. Now, I know that's not a popular opinion. Again, I'm just being honest with you guys. This is how I feel. If he comes out next week and let's just say the conditions are better and he's a week further removed from injury and he can't deliver at the end, well, that's a different conversation in my view. But why don't you guys let me know what you think in the comments? You know, am I being too conservative here, or should the 49ers take some action with their kicker? I want to know what you guys think. Again, just being honest, the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams seem to be struggling a little bit in midseason here, but we all know it is a 4-team race in the NFC West according to the records as of right now. So the 49ers have a critical matchup against the Seattle Seahawks next week in San Francisco. That is going to be a very important game. All right, I want to thank all my new subscribers. You guys are absolutely great. We are picking up a lot of new subscribers this year. I really appreciate it. So if you like what you see here, please subscribe. We'd love to have you guys aboard. Leave me a comment. I read every comment. And guys, I know times are tough right now, so I really want to thank those of you who have gone the extra mile to help support this channel. Your support has been invaluable, and I truly appreciate it. And of course, I gotta give an extra special shout out to our Patreon supporters. Guys, you are an essential part of this team. I could not do these videos without you. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. All right, it's gonna be the Seahawks at the 49ers. The Seahawks really seem to be going through a lot of strange issues right now. They're going to look to right the ship against San Francisco, and what a huge division win that would be for them as this NFC West race heats up in the second half of the season. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. I would expect that the 49ers would be well prepared for it, as they usually are for these important division contests. Either way, you know we are going to be here to break down that film, and I will see you guys then.